This is going to be a very simple guide on how to assemble your clarinet. The first thing is, whenever you put your clarinet together, especially as you are learning to do so, is you want your clarinet on a hard, flat surface. If you are sitting in your band room, I suggest putting the case on the floor. Do not put it on your lap, as tendency is for us to get distracted, and it's very common for the clarinet cases to fall off of our laps as we're trying to put them together. So we don't want that happening, because then sometimes things fall out of the case and they get broken. In this case, I'm doing it on a tabletop, or the floor would be fine. So after you open the case of your clarinet, we have our different pieces of the clarinet. Starting from the bottom to the top, we have the bell, the lowest part of the clarinet, the lower joint. The lower joint is different from the upper joint in that it has one tenon. The upper joint has two tenons. Okay. And then we get to the barrel, which looks like a barrel. And then our mouthpiece, ligature, and mouthpiece cap. The first thing you're going to want to do is place the reed in your mouth as you are assembling the clarinet in order for it to get moist and also to be softened up. And about the time it will take you to assemble the clarinet should be about enough time for the reed to get enough moisture. In this case, I'm not going to moisten the reed because I need to talk to you. If your clarinet is pretty new, I would say the first 10 times you put your clarinet together, your corks are going to need to be lubricated. Corks are often very dry, and it will make it very hard for you to put your clarinet together if you do not lubricate your corks. After your corks have soaked in some of the grease that you've been putting on every day for the first 2 weeks or so, then you will only need to grease your clarinet tenons about once a week. So there are 4 tenons on your clarinet, 1 on the lower joint, 2 on the upper joint, and then on the mouthpiece. In this case, I've got just enough on my thumb, I can kind of carry it over a little bit. And then the mouthpiece. Now that the clarinet is greased, we can assemble. We want to start with the bell of the clarinet. We're going to assemble the bell to the lower joint, and one of the reasons why is because this bit of wood or plastic, depending on what your clarinet is made of, is very thin and very fragile, so we want to protect it as soon as we can. Also very fragile is this key work right here. So when we grasp it, we want to make sure we grasp it with our palm on the back side of the joint where there's little key work. Try and keep our fingers off the key work as much as possible. I like to have the strong hand holding the joint and the weaker hand holding the bell. Twist side to side until the clarinet is together. Now we're going to assemble the upper joint onto the lower joint, and here's where things get a little bit tough. It is very, very easy as you twist this together to start smashing keys into each other and bending things and breaking things, and that's what we have to be careful of. The other thing we have to be careful of is this bridge mechanism, which can be seen right here. It has to line up and connect, and the way we're going to make sure that's going to happen with a little incident so those pieces don't smash together. It's hard to see them right there. Okay, we don't want those pieces to smash together. So what you do is if you push on these keys right here, you'll see that part of the bridge raises. So we're going to do that and slowly and gently twist back and forth in small twists as we place it together. And then once it's together, we just make sure that that bridge mechanism right there is lined up. It's hard to get that in focus. Right there. Okay? This has to be lined up right here. Okay. Now, remember, if you do large twists, you run the risk of colliding this keywork and bending things. Do not do large twists when putting this part of the clarinet together. Next is the barrel. You cannot put the barrel on wrong. If you try to put the barrel on upside down, it won't go. So if it won't go, don't put it on, flip it over, and try again. I like to put the mouthpiece and the ligature on as a single unit. I have my barrel turned around. It really does not matter if the logo of your barrel is facing the correct way or not. Okay. We want the window of the mouthpiece, that's this open spot right here. Okay. It's going to be lined up with this part of the clarinet on the back where your thumb goes. I'm going to go ahead and close this case. So, gently grasp the mouthpiece right here, not up here at the very tip, that is very fragile. I'm going to grasp the mouthpiece right here, and again, gently twist so that the window of the mouthpiece is lined up with these keys back here. Now, I have an inverted ligature. If you have a standard ligature that comes with clarinets, the thumb screws will be back on this side like this. The thumb screws will always point to the right. I know that my ligature is inverted, meaning that it is designed to have the screws on the back of the mouthpiece because the thumb screws are to the right. If your thumb screws are ever to the left, you are using the clarinet ligature incorrectly. Okay, the thumb screw should always be to the right. When you place the reed on, remember it should have been in your mouth soaking this whole time. You're going to lay the flat side of the reed against the flat side of the mouthpiece. Slightly push the ligature up, slide the bottom in, and very carefully line the tip of the mouthpiece up with the tip of the reed. Once you've done that, slide your ligature down to the appropriate point, which should be with the top of the ligature, which is right here in this case, lining up with the edge of the shiny part of the bark. Twist until you feel the screws firm up. And now your clarinet is assembled. To disassemble the clarinet, you want to go exactly the opposite order. You would take the reed off, give it a quick wipe down with your thumb and finger just to get the extra moisture off. Okay? I would also remove the ligature at this point. You would swab out the clarinet at this point, which is a whole other lesson in itself. Remove the mouthpiece, followed by the barrel. Once again with the top joint. Press this key right here to make sure the bridge is separated. Small twists. Oh, that's the wrong side. And then once again, make sure the flat of your palm is against the bare side back of the clarinet. Small twists. And let's see. Do not leave the reed on the mouthpiece, it will get moldy. Place the reed back in its container gently. And your clarinet is ready to pack up. Hope you found this helpful.